Well, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to a session of Chattin On The Porch, a little interview show that we occasionally do when we have really interesting guests to bring on, introduce them to you, and have some wonderful conversation in the process. Glad to have all of you here tonight. Again, you have found your way to Chattin On The Porch. You are looking at your host, the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau. On occasion, I'm called the kid in the lid, sometimes referred to as the common man with common sense. But as always, in this moment, right now, I am your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, please do me some favors as always. Number one, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment in chat. It really does help push this channel out, believe it or not. Number two, share the link around with your friends. And number three, if you're not subscribed to my channel, why don't you go ahead and do so? That way you can become a part of one of the best audiences on the internet, Fedora Nation. And finally, hit the bell for notifications. We want to make sure you're always aware when new material is coming out, be it a video or a live stream. So let's see, who all have we got in the house so far? All right, looks like the folks are starting to pile in the room. Glad to have everybody. I can see the boys over on Rumble have been busy supplying us with many merry memes. Good evening, my dear. Mwah! Glad to have you in the house tonight. As always, lovely Lana from Cincinnati or thereabouts. Glad to have you, my dear. Let's see. And others will start trickling in slowly but surely. Anyway, we got a really fun little live stream tonight. We've got some memes, as I mentioned, and we also have a great guest. This gentleman had me on his channel a little while back before the November election. And, as always, we're always trying to promote good folks, and we're trying to make sure we can help grow their channels as well. Asked him to come on because I want to get his thoughts on a whole bunch of things, and more importantly, give a chance to introduce him to you the same way he did for me, introducing me to the folks who follow his channel. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. As is always, we will begin our want, as we like to do, with the merry memes. Those wonderful little things that you find on the internet or Twitter or wherever that have a wonderful message, but do it in a very funny little way. So, oh yes, and good evening to you, WWG1. As always, many thanks for the memes. We do appreciate it. This week was the end of an era, 200 plus years. We are no longer producing the American penny. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The mint in Philadelphia has turned out its last penny, I guess, as of Tuesday evening, I suppose. So, yeah, whatever pennies you've got, hang on to them, shine them up. Maybe someday they'll be worth something. Anyway, but it's kind of hard to get people to express how they really feel about this. I mean, after all, people are busy. They don't always have a chance to stop and give pause to how they really want to express themselves on a certain issue. Sometimes you just have to pay them money to do it. Daggone it. Never did I. Wait a minute. What? Where did you go? Hold on a minute. Your host just messed up. Sorry about that, folks. One moment, please. Let's restart that joke. I never thought that I'd ever say it, but never did I ever realize I'd have to pay a nickel to get somebody's thoughts about a penny. Yeah, there you go. There you go, folks. Like I said, never did I ever think I'd have to pay somebody to get their thoughts about not producing pennies anymore. So there you go. And there you go. All right. What else do we have here? I know that every one of, especially the gentlemen who are watching in the audience tonight, many of us can think back to those conversations that we had with our father when we were little boys. We talked to our dads about all kinds of issues, things that were on our mind, and our fathers always tried to impart wisdom to us whenever they could. And I mean, I can almost envision the conversation going something like this. Little boy looks up at his dad and says, "If socialism doesn't work, why do some people still support it?" Dad, in his wisdom, looks down at his son and says, "Because they don't work either, son." There you go. And there you go. There it is. Wisdom from a father to his son. And with that, I raise a glass. Cheers to all you dads out there. You're making it happen. Like that Crosby, Stills, and Nash song once said, teach your children well. Oh, my Lord. They will, I tell you what, they'll let anybody into this live stream. How you doing, Sean? Good buddy of mine. If you're not acquainted with him, this is Sean from Third Railify. He's got a channel on Rumble. He's out there grinding it every day, much like my guest tonight. Masculine Meat Mountain. And well done on the great guest. I agree with you, sir. Well done on the guest that I'm about to bring on here in a little bit. So there you go. And glad to have you in the audience tonight, sir. Doing your Canadian thing. What that is, we don't know, but thank you for doing it anyway. No, just kidding. Let's see. Salty Old Farts in the house tonight. How you doing, Salty? Good to have you here. Good to have you here. All right. What else do we have in the way of the merry memes? My guest is going to appreciate this one. No, wait. I don't know. Wait a sec. I don't think he was calling me fat. Oh my, I don't think he was calling me fat at all. I mean, really? Now, what do you try to do? Stir it? Oh, my goodness me. Oh, hello, darling. Mwah. Glad to have you in the house tonight. Now, my next guest is going to appreciate this. This isn't a meme. Oh, the pit crew's here from Cincinnati. Hello, pit crew. Glad to have you all here. Mwah, mwah, and mwah. You wonderful people. Wonderful people indeed. Now, you know, the United States military is comprised of people who do some really amazing and extraordinary things. Stuff that, you know I know I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And if you want some proof about how amazing the United States military can be in terms of the stuff that they accomplish in the name of defending the country, ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to appreciate this. Check this out.
Were you trying to get crazy with us?
This is out the back of the plane. I may drop the volume on it to keep me out of trouble with the. No, I don't think. Well, yeah, that music's going to get me in trouble with YouTube. So yeah, but look at this. What is that? A Jeep? No, it's not a Jeep, I guess, but some kind of up-armored vehicle with a bunch of parachute artists. Now one of the guys is coming out of whatever that thing he was sitting in. Now he's free floating down. Good grief. This is just 7 kinds of crazy. Look at that. Unbelievable. Okay, there he's going to open his chute. Thank God. Yeah, that's wild. That's just, man. I tell you what. Yeah, another day of just floating down to earth. There you go. Yeah, pretty much. Now look, and I'm not saying this just because of my guest either, but I really do mean this. Yeah, what a way to arrive to work. Yeah, God bless our military. And I do mean that. Some truly amazing people that do some extraordinary stuff in the name of defending the country. Just incredible. I mean, and like I said, I couldn't do that. Not unless I was either drunk or knocked out. That's all I'm saying. Well, and we're going to get into this topic a little bit later. Much has been made about this controversy currently raging right now about H-1B visas. Do we need them? Do we need to bring in people with H-1B visas? You know, what kind of jobs are they taking from us? Are they taking high-paying jobs? Are they taking low-paying? What the heck is going on? Now, universally, okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I just got, now, okay, now look, Sean, you do not have to suck up like this, okay? I appreciate it, but, you know, come on, dude. I haven't been to the gym and God only knows how long. But you know what? I am not going to stop you from saying this. I genuinely appreciate it, but seriously, dude, I would pay you the compliments anyway, regardless of whether you drop this kind of stuff on me or not. Holy cow. Oh, my gosh. Oh, anyway. But anyway, back to H-1B visas. Are they good? Are they bad? And universally right now, the American people are just fed up, and you can't blame them. I mean, really. Now, In the midst of all that, however, there's always one contrarian that can find one good use for an H-1B visa. And you know what? Depending on your situation, is this really a bad use of an H-1B visa? I mean, look, would I trade my wife and kids in for some people from India? I don't know. But on the other hand, I guess I can kind of respect where this guy's going. I mean, smelly people from India save money. Smelly people from India save money. Smelly people from India, wife's not nagging at me. Look, I'm not going to judge the guy. I can understand where he's coming from, but man, I don't know. I mean, whatever happened to ordering Ukrainian or Russian brides? Why can't we just go back to doing that and get around the whole H-1B visa thing? Let's just order a bunch of blonde Russian wives and just be done with it. I mean, if not from Russia, let's get it from Ukraine. I hear they're dirt cheap right now. Just saying. Anyway, my guest may never come back on this show again. Mathematics. It's amazing the formulas that are worked out to solve some of the world's biggest problems. And I recently came across one that I think pretty much sums up the relationship and the ratio of the amount of effort we put in versus the amount of information we acquire. And the mathematical formula goes something like this. Yeah. Watch. Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you, buddy, them TikTok videos, they are coming in real handy. Let me tell you now. Coming in real handy. Just saying. But wait a minute. Well, now hang on now. Are you saying that this is the reason why we ought to be doing mail order Russian brides as opposed to using H-1B visas to get people from India? I mean, I'm just trying to make sure I understand my audience's intention here. I mean, if you really, maybe some people enjoy the smell of vodka. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, if you want to write this one down, it's a fairly interesting mathematical formula. But yeah, it's that's kind of interesting indeed. Did to the first power, own to the second to this own squared, and research cubed. So yeah, a very interesting mathematical formula. Yeah, very good. Indeed. All right. One last thing, and I know this one's going to get me in trouble with YouTube, but you know what? It's just too funny not to play it. Politicians. We actually, on this channel especially, we owe a lot of politicians a lot of apologies. Okay. And I do. I ride these people really hard, more than perhaps than I should. And I was thinking about the other night, how do you apologize to some people that maybe who have inadvertently drawn your fire but didn't deserve it? Well, many years ago, the boys from Monty Python came up with an absolutely fabulous way of how to apologize to a politician who did not deserve your ire. And with that in mind, I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. Check it out. There's no doubt in my mind, the gentlemen who made up Monty Python back in the day were geniuses ahead of their time. Truly, truly they were. All right. As always, thanks to WWG1, thanks to TBA, thanks to everybody who has contributed a meme. Now, as you will note right down here is my Twitter address. And if you have a meme or a subject line that you want to talk about or you think ought to be talked about on the Electronic Front Porch, hey, tag me at the Front Porch C1 and we'll see what we can do about getting that up there. Now, the host always reserves the right to use or not use what is contributed. But hey, more often than not, what you turn in finds its way on the screen. So take a shot. You never know. There you go. Now wait a minute. I don't know that MI6 gave all their info to the boys from Monty Python. I mean, seriously. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. We have a meme? We have a meme. All right. If my guest will give me one moment of patience here, let me see if I can find this real fast. Yep, there it is. Hang on. Only take a second. All right. One moment, please. Salty. I don't want Salty to be left out. And yes, yes. You know, it's very hard sometimes to get people to share their feelings about what they're really thinking. But you know what? Some people have figured out a way how to get people to vent the anger that's inside of them so that they don't have to go through life living that way, you know? And I got to say something. I've got to tell you, this is very clever. Here's a lady. She's very mild mannered, wouldn't harm a fly, wouldn't say a word, but you know that deep down inside this woman is she's just sitting on a cauldron of anger. And all it takes is just one word, Trump. And just look at the way the poor woman reacts. Oh my word. I'll tell you what. I tell you what. Indeed. Indeed. And Salty, thank you for that contribution to our fine establishment. All right, let's get to my guest. A few weeks ago, I was reached out to by a fellow content creator, and he said, "Hey, do you want to come on my channel? Let's talk shop." I have a feeling that we share a lot of the same things in common in terms of what we agree on. I was like, "Yeah, cool, let's do it." So the night before the November 4th election, I came on his channel, and we had a wonderful time. Absolutely fantastic. And I said, "You know what? Hey, we got to get you on here." Absolutely. And with that, this gentleman is Eric Soto. He has a channel on Rumble and on YouTube under the name Big Red One. He is a veteran. He is a content creator in his own right. And in his own words, he is simply trying to shake things up and get people to wake up to drain the swamp. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to introduce you to one genuinely cool man who, much like others out there, he's created his own channel, he's making his own brand, and he's making a difference in his corner of the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric Soto, a.k.a. the Big Red One Guy. Eric, welcome
What's
to
going on, brother?
Oh, not much. Welcome to the Electronic Front Porch. How are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm very, very happy to finally meet Fedora Nation. You got to hang with the demo crew over on Break the Machine podcast. They absolutely enjoyed our conversation. They thought it was fantastic. And, they just had a great time. So I appreciate you extending the invitation for me to come on and hang out with your viewers. I'm sure that I'm going to love them just as much as my viewers loved you, brother.
Oh, thank you very much. Very kind words all the way around. Yeah, I mean, I am really looking forward to this discussion, this interview. Yeah, we had a blast on your channel, pre-gaming and previewing the November election, and I know you were heavily involved in interviewing candidates for New York City Council, various races around the country, and we're going to get into that election on that night. But for people who are coming here tonight, maybe they've never come across your channel before, maybe they've never come across your work. Let's just start with the basics. Background. Where'd you grow up? What were you like as a kid? What were you like in high school? I mean, I know about your service in the military, and we'll get to that, but give everybody the background of who you are and where you come from, my friend.
Yeah, I grew up the first 13 years of my life in Brooklyn, in a part of Brooklyn called Sunset Park. At the time, it wasn't a very great place to grow up. It was just riddled with gangs and drug violence and whatnot. We wouldn't recognize it now. It's completely different. Gentrification will do that. Uh, uh, it's funny because I went back there. My first construction job was in 2007, and we started in Sunset Park, went back to the neighborhood, didn't even recognize it. The only thing that was still on my block was the fire. There was a firehouse that I lived right next to, and Tony King's Pizza, which was absolutely fantastic, and it was still just as good. But yes, I was in Brooklyn to about 13, and then we moved out of the city. up to the suburbs of New York in a place called Rockland County, which is on the other side of the Hudson River. If you're going north on the Major Deegan, it turns into the New York State Thruway. You go through Westchester, cross the Tappan Zee Bridge. I know they call it the Mario Cuomo Bridge. It will continue to be the Tappan Zee Bridge till the day I die. And once you hit the other side, that's Rockland County. And I had one hell of an experience, right? Because I got there for high school. So in New York City, I was an A student. I was like top of my class all the time, straight through junior high school and everything. I get to Rockland County at best as my freshman year. I was a C student. And that made me realize at that point, at a young age, okay, that the education that I received in New York City was just not that great. Um, and I struggled through high school, but then I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder because I realized I wasn't as smart. Not that I wasn't as smart, but I wasn't as educated as I thought I was because I just didn't learn the right stuff. And there were light years ahead of us. And at the time there, the county itself and the school district was still very conservative. So there was still about teaching stuff and actually giving an education and not just putting out dribble, which eventually happened later on. So like all through high school, I was a pain in the ass. I was a knucklehead. Chip on my shoulder. My biological mom passed because I grew up with my mother, and I used to go back and forth between Brooklyn and the Bronx because my dad was in the Bronx with my stepmother. And as my mom was getting ready to pass when I was 13, she died when I was 14. I decided to. She actually asked my dad to take me because she knew she wasn't doing well. She didn't want me to be around for that because I was very close to her and we had a good relationship. And she still had a very good relationship with my father. She actually had a fantastic, you guys are going to be surprised, relationship with my stepmother, who I call mom now. So I went to Rockland County. My freshman year, my mom passed away, and then the chip just got heavier on my shoulder, and I was just a knucklehead. But along the way, I did good things, and when I studied and I actually did what I was supposed to, I'm not a dumb guy. I got straight A's and stuff like that, right? And once I actually applied myself, so by the time I got to my senior year, I was doing good. But along the way, I played sports in high school. My dad was a big proponent of us playing sports, but we had to make sure our grades were good. And if our grades weren't good, we couldn't do anything. So I hit that road a lot of times. But I played football and I ran track and field. And that helped me. And my track and field coach was fantastic. He saw me through to make sure I graduated my senior year. He didn't give up on me. He wanted me on the track. He wanted to make sure I could run. I only ran my senior year. He was trying to get me to run all 4 years, but I was in my knucklehead phase. I gave in my senior year because my best friend was on the track team. He was also on the football team. He was actually the starting tailback, and I decided to run. Right, and I had so much fun. It opened my eyes to a whole bunch of things. And then, I just yes, good parents definitely make that work a lot. I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
100% correct on that. It's very important to have good parents. And unfortunately, many of us didn't have that growing up. Even though growing up in a split household, my biological mom was fantastic, and my father and my stepmother were fantastic. I have a very, very powerful relationship with my stepmother. You can't tell her that I'm not her son. You be in a fist fight with her. And she was a cop in the South Bronx for 20 years. So she's that type of woman. She can get down and dirty with the best of them. But yeah, so then after that, that was when my military service started after high school. But I was a bit of a knucklehead, again, I wasn't getting into fights or anything like that. It was more cutting classes and just trying to have fun when I shouldn't have been, and I should have been maintaining my grades. But again, I made it through. By the time I got to my senior year, I got my shit together and kind of saw the direction I was headed if I didn't get my stuff together. And I was like, man, I'm not going to graduate. And I pulled it all together my senior year and just crushed it. And like I said, my track and field coach had a big part to play. Obviously, my parents. I also had some good assistant principals in my school. One in particular, Mrs. Conklin, she passed many years ago. She refused to give up on me. And she would take me kicking and screaming to classes and whatnot, but she refused to give up on me. And
Good woman.
she was a really pretty. Not only was she a great educator, but at that point now she was an administrator. She was a fantastic administrator in our high school, as well. And then, like I said, I wasn't ready for college. I didn't have the mindset for college. My stepmother wanted me to go badly. I had a couple of schools that were like looking at me for like athletics and were like, hey, if you come, we'll give you like a partial scholarship and everything because of your grades. And then if you get your grades up, we can, we'll give you a full ride type stuff. But I wasn't ready for that. And I just decided to go into the Marine Corps. And that was like my first stint on active duty was in the Marine Corps. And boy, was that an experience.
What year was this that you went on active duty?
So my first stint on active duty with the Marine Corps, I went in October 15th, 1991 was when I hit Parris Island. And
Ooh.
and then I was done with the Marine Corps October 15th, 1995.
Okay. You were there for some very interesting years in the United States military.
Oh, yes. I saw a lot of people in the Marine Corps lose their jobs, a lot of good people. This was during the Clinton years, and during that time, anytime the left is in power and they always go right to our military and absolutely decimate it. He not only did that, he did that with our intelligence agencies and everything. I know a lot of people like to blame Obama, but it actually started way back a long time ago under Clinton. People don't understand the history. Well, younger people might not necessarily understand the history, but us older folk do. And I watched a lot of people, they weren't even getting reclassed, right? Because like you should get reclassed and be allowed. Some people did. There were enough people that actually did, but other people were getting tossed. And it was also sexual harassment was a thing. If you just even looked at somebody the wrong way and they said you sexually harassed them, you were toast. It was like zero tolerance. People were losing their jobs over just like looking at somebody the wrong way. Not that there wasn't any sexual harassment and any nefarious stuff going on, because that happens in the military too, unfortunately. And then I had a break in service. So I get out in 1995. I was kind of headed towards the police department at the time, to NYPD. And I had a background investigator that just, actually my first background investigator was fantastic. But I had gotten a DUI while I was in the Marine Corps. My last year in the Corps, I got a DUI, like a knucklehead. And I passed absolutely everything with flying colors for NYPD, but because it was so fresh, it just like they didn't take me. And it didn't even matter that my stepmom was on the job and stuff like that. They give you some professional courtesy if your family's on the job. But the DUI was just like, again, it was just more so recent that it was embarrassing. And that kind of, I didn't spiral out after that, fortunately, but it did have an effect on me as far as the things that I was able to do post the Marine Corps because of that, because then it just caused like a domino effect. But I was able to get work and stuff like that. I have never been unemployed in the sense that I never looked for work or been laid off plenty of times. Everybody has. And then 9/11 happened. And 9/11 happened. And again, I was going to do active duty. NYPD called me and it was going to get my shot. So I said, you know what? I'll do the reserves. I told my parents, I was like, you know what? I will go. Let's go into the National Guard. Let's do that. I got active duty. I'm pretty sure they'll take me in a heartbeat being prior service Marine. There won't be any issues. It's not like I had a dishonorable discharge. I had an honorable discharge from the Marine Corps, even with the DUI. And I literally, Brian, I swore in 1 week. This was in July of 2003. I swore in 1 week, reported to my unit the next, and my first sergeant knew exactly who I was when I walked through the door. He's like, "Are you so and so?" And I was like, and I looked at him because he was in uniform. I was like, "Sure, I'm top. What do you need?" And he was just like, "I have to send you for training. We got our warning orders. We're headed to Iraq." And I was like, and my dad was with me. Like he was with me in the office. Like he walked in with me. My dad, he just like looked at me, and I was like, "I guess I stepped in shit." So I guess I stepped in shit. He's like, "Yeah, we got warning orders." He goes, "Your prior service Marine, I need you some training. You had a break in service. I got to send you for some training or whatnot, but I got to get it done right away because we're going to need your experience." And I was like, "Amen."
Now go back to 91 for a second. I mean,
sure.
You did your training. Did you see any service overseas in your first stint in the Marines?
Yeah, I did. I went over to Okinawa. I was in Okinawa for a year.
Okay.
Okinawa was a lot of fun. It was one hell of a blast. I was up at Camp Schwab, which was the topmost Marine Corps station up there. It's where the ammo supply point is. I was working in an ammo supply point up there. My cousin was actually at Camp Hansen, which is like halfway down the island, south, and he was on the island before me. He actually joined the Marine Corps before me, and I hadn't seen him because we grew up in Brooklyn for a portion of the time. Then they moved to California, and I hadn't seen him in like some years. And I found out where he was. We hooked up there, and it was just like we partied a lot in Okinawa and drank a lot in Okinawa together.
Marines drinking in Okinawa. I could never possibly imagine that
Absolutely.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I went to Okinawa for a year. Met my son's mother. She was in the Marine Corps and whatnot too. And then when I got stateside, I went to Camp Pendleton and finished out my time at Camp Pendleton. And then since I had family in California, my cousin's family and stuff like that, and other cousins and whatnot, I used to go up to LA just about every weekend. I was up there with my buddies and we were partying in Los Angeles. So I got to party in some pretty good places.
Oh wow! Now,
Yeah.
fast forward back to 2003. Where were you in Iraq? Were you in Baghdad or were you outskirts?
I was north of Baghdad. I want to say northeast of Baghdad in a area called Al Dujal. I was at Fob Orion. That was the name of it at that time. We had actually taken over we got attached to the 1st Infantry Division. So my uniforms that I don't wear them anymore because I'm not in anymore, but my combat patch is the first ID, which is where I got BigRedOneGuy from because my service and my, as an infantryman attached to the 1st Infantry Division. And we were in Al Dujal, which was a town. Essentially, it was actually a pretty famous town. I'll get into a quick story about that. But we were south. If anybody who's in the chat has served and was in the area in Iraq, if you knew where LSA Anaconda was, that was an it was a joint base, even though the Air Force ran it. I was south of that on the ASR that went to the back gate, and we were the area quick reaction force. My battalion was. So like when things used to pop off out on the MSR, when IEDs went off, when there were raids that needed to get done, stuff like that for HVTs, which are high value targets, we were the guys in the area that did that stuff.
Wow. It's like she said, out of the frying pan right to the fire. That's just amazing.
Like I said, I just was like, holy shit. Literally a week later, Brian. It was like a week later, I reported to the unit. I was in civvies. I wasn't even in uniform because I hadn't had any new uniforms yet. I only had my Marine Corps stuff. And sure enough, it was like, yep, we got to get you going. We'll get you what you need. And they got me what I needed and stuff like that. And I went and trained and did a 2-week crash course because I didn't have to go to infantry school because as a Marine, all right, what we get in basic training is infantry like. So it's like, most Marines, they may have changed that standard now. At the time, if you were in the Marine Corps, you didn't have to go, and you went into the Army, you didn't have to go to infantry school because you're considered a basic rifleman coming out of Paris Island. So, but I did have to do a refresher. So it was like a 2-week course that they sent up in Vermont. I forgot what the hell the name of that base was that we did the training at. And it was in the summer, in the heat, embracing the suck. Fortunately, I was in good shape and was able to deal with it because it was actually kind of brutal for 2 weeks. It was like intense for 2 weeks. And National Guard, people would think National Guard training, how could that be intense? But actually, because we do Army training in the National Guard, when we go train, we're doing it just like we were on active duty. We don't just sit around. And I had a 5-year break in service. So it was like, holy crap, shit. I gotta remember how it is when I ruck, how to make sure I position myself so I can make this ruck and I don't fall out and stuff like that. And it's like being a prior service Marine, I was like, there's no freaking way I'm falling out. You know what I'm saying? With all of these young guys, I'm not falling out. And I was almost 30 years old at that point.
Oh, wow.
So it just, I think I turned 30. Yeah. I think I had turned 30 already. So I was an old dude compared to the guys that I was training with. There's only a few other older guys with me. One that was around my age and one guy that was a little bit older, but everybody else was all young people and stuff like that who had just like got in and they were coming from other MOSs. So they didn't go to. So in the Army, you have what's called AIT, the Advanced Infantry Training, that everybody in the infantry goes through first before they get, sent out to other units or other schools after that, because there are other schools you can go to. So this is like a 2-week course that that is run by active duty personnel, and they crush you. And I was like, they were aiming to crush me. And one of the the cadre officers was actually a prior service Marine as well. So, he didn't give me any special treatment. He was like, I expect you to go above and beyond. Okay, coming from where you came from, especially you came from active duty. So like, you better make sure you have your shit tight all the time, because I'm gonna rip your shit apart. So like, I had no choice. But it paid off. And then, met some really good dudes. And my platoon, believe it or not, actually my whole company was like that, because we were part of the 105th Infantry Division in New York. Okay, and they actually got disbanded, and we got merged. Alpha and Bravo Company got merged together, and we became Alpha Company of the 108th, which is out of actually upstate New York. I want to say not Schenectady, Leeds, I think, is where the headquarters were at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, they needed to backfill, because the 108th actually got activated, but they didn't have enough personnel. So they literally took 2 companies from the 105th and merged them into one company, and stuff like that, for the 108, to make sure that they had enough people. And, it was a bit of a shit show getting together. But then once we hit Fort Drum and Fort Polk and whatnot, and did the training and all, for me, it came back to me like, it was like, all right, this is like I was on active duty again, because I was, for the next year and a half, we were on active duty.
So what happened after leaving the Army? What year did you get out? And was it 2000 what?
So we, like I said, did a tour in Iraq, in Al Dajjal. We just a quick few stories. In that town that we were responsible for protecting, and like I said, we would do IED runs, we would do raids, we would just do basic humanitarian stuff. Just
Yeah.
depends. We would escort the engineers places. We would escort civilian convoys. We actually trained up the Iraqi National Guard as well. So we went through a whole bunch of different things that we did. But in that town in the 1990s, there was an assassination attempt on Saddam Hussein.
Mm-hmm.
And what Saddam Hussein did was he rounded up all the fighting age boys and men, all right, took them all out into the middle of nowhere, and we ended up finding this mass grave. We didn't, but like our battalion did, all right, and just executed all of them. And it wasn't until we heard that story and went into the town that we actually realized that there were more women in that town than men. Right. So it was like, holy shit, like it made an actual effect. And like most of the men that were in that town weren't even born there. They were from other places, and they came to the town and whatnot afterwards. And so the way we found this mass grave is there was an old man in that town. It's funny because we were getting ready to do a raid, and this old man literally walked with his grandson from the main town to our fob, and we're talking about miles in the heat. All right. Comes to the post. He sits there. He wants to talk to an officer, and he spills the beans. And my company commander at the time we were at the gate. We were actually getting ready to go out on a mission. Mission ended up getting scrapped because his son or his grandson actually spoke pretty good English and was talking. And he was like, "My grandfather has a story to tell," because you kind of things people would find shit out that they shouldn't, and that's unfortunately how it happens sometimes. We were on our way to go get the son of the man that this guy was about to tell us about. So the man that he tells us about was the guy who was responsible for telling Saddam Hussein about who was involved in the assassination attempt in the town. Okay. So, and once he did that, Saddam Hussein, roped him up into his group of people and group of nasty people and stuff like that. And then he was very nasty to people in that town. He was just he ended up being evil himself. So we were actually on our way to go pick up this guy's son, not knowing that the father was this diabolical. And this old man, like I said, told the story. We put the brakes on the mission temporarily, and took that information. My captain took that information, went back to the battalion talked it over with the battalion commander, and then they had to kind of redo a whole intelligence thing, because they had to make sure that this stuff was accurate the best we can with whatever information we had. We didn't really have that much information, and we ended up, our unit as our battalion ended up picking him up. And we picked not only him and the son up, and then it just so happens that if you guys have ever saw the video footage of Saddam Hussein getting hung, before he got hung, there was a trial. And if you watched it on TV, they were televising his trial on TV. He was actually sitting next to him, and he ended up getting the death penalty too for the atrocities he helped cause.
Wow. Unbelievable.
That's, so excuse me, everyone. Oh my God, I went down the wrong pipe. So yeah, my battalion, we did, our New York National Guard guys, we did a lot of stuff. We got into a lot of shit, because if that time this was 2003, we got over there in 2004. The rules of engagement were, if it looked dangerous, you destroy it. We still had pretty solid ROE, so we didn't have to worry and stuff like that. You weren't gonna have to worry about sitting in front of a man and getting your freaking court-martialed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Thank you. I see. Just so you guys know, I'm going to go back and forth between the chat to try to find, just in case you guys have any questions or whatnot. So yeah, I finished my time in 2008. I was done at that time. Now I was already stateside, and doing my regular drills like the reserves do and stuff. And but 2008 came around. I never did go into NYPD. I came home from Iraq, and I just was like, I was tired. And I was just like, I don't really feel it. And a lot of people went into the police department. A lot of my friends were already cops, because like my whole platoon were all police officers, FDNY, EMS. We had a lot of different. My platoon sergeant was actually ESU for NYPD. My lieutenant was on the job. Two of my fire team guys were on the job as well. And when we were doing raids, we were actually using the NYPD doctrine. My platoon sergeant was like, "We're not doing this shit that the Army's telling us we do. I'm going to show you guys how we hit a house the right way, so we all come out of this, with all our digits and everything like that. We come out of it alive." And that's what we used, NYPD doctrine, when we were kicking down doors and stuff like that, snatching up idiots in the middle of the night.
Wow. Amazing. So I tell you what, let's move it forward.
Sure.
And let's talk a little bit about your channel. I'm going to pop this up here for everybody to see it. And I'm always curious to find this out. What got your interest about starting a social media channel? What made you decide to take the plunge and be like, you know what? I'm going to get on Rumble. I'm going to get on YouTube. I'm going to go anywhere I possibly can. And I'm going to talk about what interests me. What made you want to get into social media?
The Biden administration.
Really?
And watching, yes, the Biden administration, watching everything that they were doing. And, I'm not a young dude, okay? So like I've lived through a lot. All right, I'm gonna be 52 next month and whatnot. Thank you, Salty All Fart. I saw that you dropped the link tonight. Thank you, appreciate you guys. Thanks. Yeah, I was just tired of it. So 2024 rolls around, and I honestly, and I might sound crazy to some people, I felt like it was a calling from God. I felt like He was talking to me, saying, "You have experience in life. You have a voice. A decent amount of things about a bunch of different things. Use that voice, and let's start trying to wake some people up, because your country, the country that I have graced Earth with, okay, the best country on the planet. I tell people all the time, we are the most imperfect, perfect nation in the world."
Yeah.
Okay. And if you guys understand, I know you understand what I mean by that, Brian. I'm pretty sure your viewers do too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got our flaws, right? But there is no other republic in the world, okay, like us, because that's what we are, a republic. We are not a democracy. And it just called to me. So I started the channel. I started on YouTube first. And obviously, I had watched plenty of people on YouTube. I, watched a lot of gamers and stuff like that and seen how they did it. But I knew that wasn't going to be my thing. That's not what my calling was. By the way, I have started a gaming channel on Rumble. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
And I just started going at it, man. I started making short form videos, okay, like anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. And I have a whole bunch of them all from 24. And that's how I started. And, didn't really get traction, but I still did it. It didn't stop me. I wasn't, discouraged by it. I was like, I was getting people viewing them because I would get people, obviously I would get trolls and I would get some people who commented on them, and then it just is what it was. And then I finally decided to go live, and I went live the first time. I want to say I had a couple of people on. I had a good friend of mine who was a Marine too. He's a comedian. I had him on first, and then I had him on again, and it was just like on Sundays. That's the only time I was doing it, right? Because everybody was working, and I was only going live on Sundays. And I did that a couple of times. Then I did some lives during the week because there were things that were going on. Like Tulsi Gabbard had a town hall with Donald Trump, so I was like, I got to go live for that. Let's have a watch party. If people tune in, they tune in. If not, and it just so happens that I met my moderator Jonathan Stevie through Tug's Discord. Okay.
Yep.
And he was the only person who showed up on my lives to help me go get through my lives. We would talk, he would literally chat with me. Okay. And we would have a conversation. There was only one person at the time. And I was grateful for that. I was completely and totally grateful for that. I was like, Jonathan is the dude. He mods for me 3 times a week, and he even mods out Discord. He's just the man. And he got me going. He started giving me more confidence. He's like, don't stop. You're talking about good things. Because we're on the same page politically. He's like, you're talking about good things. This is a tough niche to be in because it's saturated with people, but don't give up. You have don't shut your voice down and don't quit. And he kept me motivated. And then I met my co-host, Red Day Walker, in October of last year. And at this point, I had, like I said, done a couple of lives. Obviously I had emergency live when Trump, the first assassination attempt on Trump, a couple of the town halls, couple of the things that they did, rallies that they did. And, but in the meantime, I was still making short form videos as well for different topics. And my co-host came around in October of last year, and I just reached out to him on Instagram because that's where I'm usually at most of the time. Most of my stuff is on Instagram. And I had been following him with my personal account and following him with my public account. And I just reached out to him and I said, hey, man, would you like to come on a live with me on a Sunday? And he was like, yeah, sure. He was actually up in New Hampshire at the time because his aunt had passed away from the jab, kind of eventually caught up to her. And she got, coerced into taking it, and it didn't end well for her, unfortunately. And he was up there and we talked. Then he came back another Sunday. Then I was like, hey, do you got a Friday available? Instead of Sunday, let's go to Friday where more people are watching. We started Friday. Then he had Mondays available. And then I started just doing Wednesdays on my own. And then it became Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday that I do things. And I just haven't stopped. And we've been getting more and more people. And he helped us get guests. He is a big part of the show. And I tell him all the time, I'm like Dana White loyal to you, bro, because you have stuck this out. You could have walked away. I mean, guy has like almost 220,000 followers on Instagram. He didn't have to stick around with me. You know what I'm saying? But that's not who he is. He's a good dude. He's like, nah, man, we're gonna stick it out. He was happy that he found because he was looking to start doing lives. He just didn't know who to go. And we kind of both fell into each other's laps, and we're like, hey, let's just do this. Let's just rock. Let's roll. And we've been going ever since, man.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. And for folks who are just stopping by, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm known as the Front Porch Conservative. My guest tonight is Eric Soto, known as the Big Red One Guy. He's got a channel on Rumble. He's got a channel on YouTube. Where else are you at on social media, if you don't mind my asking?
So I am actually, it's all Big Red One Guy everywhere. I'm on True Social. I am on X. I'm not very active on X, but that's going to change. I'm more active on YouTube and Rumble. And the whole thing with Rumble, I wasn't even, so again, I told you we were on YouTube. The inauguration comes around this year, and we're broadcasting on our channel the inauguration. What does YouTube do? They shut down every single person that's running it. Okay, no matter the size of their channel. And the CEO of Google is sitting with the president, right, at the inauguration, and his people at YouTube are absolutely just wrecking us. And only a few people were able to actually broadcast it. So what I said at that moment was, wait a minute, I got a Rumble channel. And within 5 minutes, I got us up and running and was like, we're going to be going. And then Jonathan, my mod, he pushed everybody over to Rumble and was like, hey, guys, this is where we're at now. And then it's just been, I'm doing YouTube and Rumble. YouTube has had me on ice for over a year now. They refuse to let me grow. They're not going to. That's just not who they are. It's because of the message that I have, and I'm okay with it because Rumble's growing. I'm gonna stick with Rumble. So I think come next year we're gonna be doing full time on Rumble and just put clips on YouTube.
Oh, I don't blame you a bit, and that's, I mean, the thing you're talking about is another question I want to get into. But if you, the audience who are watching this live stream tonight, if you got questions for Eric, hey, drop them in chat. We'll be happy to try and put them up there, and we want you to
Absolutely.
participate in this as much as we are. So, let me ask you about social media, because I've been doing this now for, I think the first video I posted was in March of 23. And it's got its ups and downs, but I'm always interested to hear somebody else's perspective. What is the good and bad of having a social media channel? And what is the good and the bad about YouTube versus Rumble?
Okay.
Because I really want to get your take on this.
Sure. Absolutely. For me, because it's again, this is my experience. It's not everybody.
Sure.
As we all know in life, we all don't have the same experience. I have been on ice with YouTube for a long time, like right from the get. They hit me.
Define being on ice. What does that mean exactly?
So when YouTube or any of the platforms, not even just YouTube, because Instagram has had me. I hit 22,000 followers on Instagram, and they put me on ice too. What they do is they start suppressing your stuff, your content, and they say they don't do that, but they do. They make sure that the whatever algorithm they're using doesn't pick your stuff up, so that they can put it out to everybody. And it doesn't make sense when you think about it, because I could look at my stuff on Instagram and see I'll pop my Instagram open and have like 100, because it does it in groups of 100. I have 100 comments on something, right? And I'll have like 100 likes, and then I'll look at right after it shows how many people followed you, and it'll be like 3 follows. It doesn't make any sense, right? It just makes no
Yeah.
logical sense. So what I mean by they put you on ice is they deliberately suppress your content, and it's basically because of the message that you're putting out. And the social media is run by the left, whether we like it or not. Okay, the only place we got is Rumble, and Rumble wasn't even really set up to be a place for us in the sense that it's a free speech platform. Okay, you could be a leftist loon and get on Rumble, and you'll probably get an audience there too, because like
Yeah.
anybody can watch your stuff. Rumble's not gonna push you away just because you're a Marxist twit. Okay, that's not. It just so happened that we were getting canceled everywhere. We were getting ostracized. X before Elon took over, and even now it's become a bit of a shit show on X. Okay, but before Elon took over and opened it up a little bit, they were suppressing us. Instagram suppressing us. TikTok is even worse than everybody put together. Okay, suppressing us. All right, and it just people like us, like I said, I don't have a big account. I don't have any delusions that I'm like some big. I don't like being called an influencer because I'm not an influencer. I'm not trying to influence anybody. The only thing I ever try to do is to get as much information out there, because the good side of social media is that we are now, okay, the new media. All right, legacy media is dead. They have done it to themselves. All right, because they stick with the same dumb narratives all the time, right or left. It doesn't matter what station it is. Okay, and they don't bring you the information like they used to. Brian, you're old enough to remember when you had news in the morning, in the afternoon, and at evening when you came home, and then you had one more batch of it late at night before you went to bed.
Yeah.
All right. And each time, let's say you watched it early in the morning before you left for work, you got to watch them, you saw a little bit of something. At lunchtime, you picked it up maybe you were sitting down for lunch, you saw something. And it was always something different, right?
Right.
Whatever was going on, the news of the day was the news of the day, regardless of the time. And you had different things. And in each point of the day, you found some new stuff. Was there some overlap with important things that were going on? Obviously, there was. But you even had sports, you had entertainment, you had absolutely everything you wanted. And the media now, it's just all opinion shows. And we're opinion show. I'm an opinion show too. I can admit that. But with that said, I always try to bring as much new information on whatever we're talking about to people, right? Because I'm sure this has happened to you. How many times have you ran something on your show, Brian, and then like a week later, the mainstream media finally picked it up? But you talked about it already, maybe a week, 2 weeks prior. It's like, you guys are picking that up now? It's like, God, I talked about that 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
So
And
that is the good side about media, is that there's a new source of information, of people, dedicated people like us, who are genuinely trying to get information out, not only to our viewers but just to America.
yeah, and one of my viewers has a question for you as it relates to
Sure.
my channel.
Oh, absolutely.
Ask Big Red One Guy. Ask Brian about his channel name because I've been saying Gypsy has expressed this to me in live chat and direct messages that my channel name is like a giant red flag in front of the bull known as YouTube. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's the front porch conservative. Well, I don't know how much we want to help this boy grow his channel. So, I mean,
Yeah.
what is your
Um,
take on her take?
I think she's 100% correct. Okay, how we name our channels does play a big thing, but what I try to tell my viewers all the time is you have to stay true to who you are, no matter what. Okay, you must absolutely stay true to who you are, no matter what. I I will take 10 to 1,000 ride or die viewers, okay, over 1 million followers any day.
Yeah,
And people will be like, oh, but you'll be leaving money off the table. To me, it's not about money. This is therapy for me. Okay. Talking to
yeah,
people is therapy for me.
yeah,
From my own experiences in life. All right. Getting to talk to the American public and my ride or die viewers who are with me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and now on Saturdays, when I do my Salty Dog Show. It's that, to me, is more important. And the difference between, because you asked earlier on too about the difference between YouTube and Rumble, is with YouTube, they are a big, huge outfit, right? So they have everything that they can do. They can suppress the hell out of us no matter whenever they want, however they want. Rumble, on the other hand, is still growing. And part of that growth is they have hiccups, they do, and it frustrates a lot of people. It
sure.
does, even myself. But the one thing I love about Rumble is the cross-pollination of communities.
Yeah.
Okay, we are absolutely coming together. I see people from other communities that I have seen, because I make my rounds to some of the channels. I know Third Railify, great bunch of people and stuff like that. Yankee Free, he's big on trying to bring people together. So, like, actually, I met Third Railify through Yankee Free on Rumble. And it just we just keep raiding each other, right? Like, that is the one thing I love about Rumble, is that we get the raid. And you experienced the raid with us when you were on the show. We raided another show, right? So we get to take our chat and push them over to somebody else to help somebody else grow. And not only that, just so your viewers get another perspective on things, right? Because we might see eye to eye on, like, we'll say 95% of the things, but there's that 5% that we're probably close, but we just think differently on it. And that is okay. It is all right for us to have free thought, and we want our viewers to have that too. So it's good to push your viewers over to somebody else so they can get another perspective. And I actually love that about Rumble.
Oh, absolutely. And it looks like I've got some suggestions for renaming my channel. Some people are saying the Back Porch Liberal. Um, no, we are not going to be known as the Front Porch Communist. Okay. No, we are not doing that, WG1. That is not happening. Okay.
I don't know. The,
Just
the
saying.
the the back porch liberal sounds a little bit
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I don't know,
That's good
man. I
though. I
don't
like the
know.
I like
This
the I like
crowd,
the
this
back porch liberal.
crowd.
That's a funny one.
That's good. That's good. And hello to one of my favorites up in Connecticut tonight. Great show as always. Did Hurt Locker staff, came back, changed, left. Oh dear. Well, dear, we are glad to have you here with us tonight. And as always, we are glad in your continued recovery from some health problems that you've been having. And again, folks, if you've got questions, feel free to put them out there while we're still around. Let me ask you this, going back to YouTube and Rumble. I'm sure you're familiar with the channel The Quartering.
Mhm.
Jeremy Hamling has been reading some recent reports. YouTube, I mean, he may be right, and I want to get your take on this. There are reports now that AI is so infecting the way YouTube does things. You've got it's nothing but shorts and short form videos
Mhm.
and short form videos and just AI slop everywhere. And
Yep.
YouTube is slowly driving original content creators off the platform. I mean,
Yep. That
he made the statement the other day, and this is not just confined to him, but he was relaying, his channels of his similar size that if this were 5 years ago, the amount of money that he'd be making now, that he's making now, would have been way more if this were 5 years ago. YouTube's cutting
Right.
back on the money they're paying out to the creators. They're letting AI just
Yeah, dominate everything. Absolutely.
just dominate everything. And but I mean, where do you see? I mean, because right now, I mean, YouTube versus Rumble is like Frazier versus Ali. This is
Yeah.
like the great fight of the content platforms, and there are
Yeah.
other platforms out there. There's Rockfin, there's Odyssey, there are others. But where do you see this going in the next few years between Rumble and YouTube?
I, you know, I know a lot of people are saying, well, YouTube might be on their last leg. They probably kind of they've hit their ultimate peak because they were the big dog for the longest time, and now they got a little cousin that's swinging and fighting and hasn't stopped. Um, you know, again, Rumble has one of my big things with Rumble as far as like something I got upset about. Great thing is if you go to Rumble, you can monetize right away. That is just the thing. There's
Yeah.
no You don't even have to be in the creator program. You just you hit that and you could, you get on there and you're making some money on your videos. It's not much, but what you can do right from the jump, people can subscribe to your channel. Okay. It's half the price of Rumble Premium. People can give you Rumble rants like they do super chats. You don't have to be monetized for that. You don't have to be part of the creator program. So these are things that you can make money off. You can run
Yeah.
ads on your stuff and everything like that. So they have left it up to the creator to do whatever it is. So that's one of the big things. I just think their back end right now is like still a lot of work that needs to get done.
Yeah, I
There
agree
are
with that.
features. There are features on YouTube, for instance, right? For us to run a live through Rumble, we have to go through Rumble Studio, right? Whereas I mean, you don't have to, but like if you want to once you become part of the creator, you have to do everything through Rumble. Yeah, I suggest even if you're not part of the creator program, do your stuff through Rumble Studio because it'll help pick you up a lot faster. And trust me, it's just a whole algorithm thing. I didn't learn that until probably a couple of months ago. I was doing it a certain way. I was just putting the information into EVMux, and just like YouTube, it would go right live on YouTube, live on Rumble, and we went right. Now that I have to do things through Rumble Studio, it's a little bit of a hassle. That they should keep it like YouTube. Just put the information in and you go into your streaming server, whatever you're using, and you roll. That's it. They shouldn't have to make you do the extra things, but they do. Once you become part of the creator program, you got to read ads. You got to do ad reads and stuff like that. You have to have 5 hours of premium time where it's just for premium members and stuff like that. So those are little things that I feel kind of YouTube-ish. The upside is that it's not like YouTube in the sense that YouTube makes you got to have 1,000 subscriptions. You got to have 5,000 hours. You got to have everybody meets the download the 3 videos thing. You meet that in the first time you upload 3 videos, you met that. It's getting to where you need to be. For instance, I've been doing this on YouTube now over a year. I'm still under 200 followers. Okay.
Wow.
On YouTube. All right. That's how bad that they got me. That's how bad they have suppressed my message. Okay. And I've come to the conclusion I'm just going to stick with Rumble. Rumble, we've been going at it a little bit longer now. And, like I said, since the inauguration, but I wasn't trying to get into the creative program. First time I got rated, channel just picked up on Rumble. First time I got rated, it picked up. I had like only 100 and something followers there. I have over almost 500 followers now on Rumble.
Congratulations.
So that's the good thing about Rumble. And I think just the features, being able to raid one another is a big thing. I think it helps with growth. And there's just more of us over there, really more of us who think alike and different variations of what we believe. And we have great conversations with one another because of that. Right. Whereas with YouTube, who's going to converse with you on YouTube? Everybody's kind of a leftist on YouTube. Okay. Those are the only people that get their stuff pushed out. Either you're a leftist or you just like toe the line, the YouTube guidelines, and that's it. And you just stick to what it is. And there's no free speech on YouTube. At least on Rumble, there's free speech. Like I said, you can be a leftist.
I have I mean, that clip I played from Monty Python, funny, apropos to the everything, but I guarantee I know what's going to happen.
They're gonna hit you
Probably
with a copyright.
within 12 hours,
You're gonna get a
YouTube's
copyright.
going to hit me with a copyright strike.
Yep. And it was only a minute. It's
Yeah.
only a minute, not even
Yeah.
past a minute. They're gonna hit you with a copyright anyway.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the way they do it is so and so. This is so and so's stuff, and they hit you with the copyright. It's really not. It's them.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit. Now, Rumble can do that too, by the way. Like, just so you guys understand, I know Rumble's free speech, but if someone could complain to Rumble and have you get your stuff pulled down, but that just doesn't happen over there. Maybe it has. I haven't seen that happen over there to anybody I know. I play
Mhm.
music on my show because on my Saturday show is only on Rumble. I play music on it,
Mhm. Mhm.
while we're talking with people and stuff like that in the background, so people could hear like we're just shooting the shit. Salty dogs being
Yeah.
salty about stuff.
Oh, yeah. WWG1 says Twitch is the most friendly for creators tech-wise, but not for their politics. Says,
Yeah.
I've been broadcasting on Twitch for the past 3 years. I tell you what, if you get this gentleman in your audience, you got somebody, because this guy is one very sharp cat. And I'm not
Yeah.
just saying that either, but yeah, I can see exactly what he's talking about. For my part, I mean, and we were talking about this backstage, I'm almost to the point. I am almost to the point that it's like, you know what? I will post when I do make videos, I'll post them on YouTube. But as far as like doing a live stream, I'm almost to the point that I'm just about ready to be like, you know what? Phooey. I've had it with trying to do this with YouTube. I would
don't blame
much
you.
rather see if I can make a go of it on Rumble. As far as, I mean, I'm not there, and if I do, I'll give my audience plenty of warning before I do it. But it's just like
Of course,
every time you turn around with YouTube, it's like,
something
well,
new.
I mean, I had a video of mine that no, it was a live stream. It was a live stream I did back in July of last year. It was one of my Saturday morning live streams, Front Porch Brunch. They demonetized that. And that's what, let's see, August, September, October, November. That was over a year ago. And all of a sudden, somebody
Right out of the blue.
decided, whoop, okay, we need to demonetize him. There was something there
Right.
that, yeah. And I'm like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
it makes no sense, man. It's just,
Yeah.
and that probably goes to what you were saying earlier about it's not just AI driven with people making AI content. All right. I think AI is infused in the algorithm so much that the AI is just picking things up, right? They fed the AI, this is what you have to essentially, this is what you need to look for. And it's like the NSA. They're filtering out words and they're filtering out, what you can think, different things in videos and different scenes and whatnot. And they're just gonna, if you say something, it's a red flag and you're gonna get taken down and stuff like that, or you're gonna get, like you said, copyrighted for some shit that's not even over a minute long and shouldn't be
Yeah.
copyrighted, should be fair use anyway.
Oh, exactly.
It's a pain in the ass, man. And
Oh,
I'm with you.
totally.
I'm at the point, like I said earlier, that I think we're gonna go full time on Rumble. But what I will do, because I'm not gonna get rid of my YouTube channel, is I'll put clips on YouTube on the channel of the different shows of the week, right? But at the end of that clip, it'll be a message. If you want to see the full show, gotta head over to Rumble.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, since we share similar content, let's just get into it, because there's
Sure.
some topics floating around I'd really love to get your take on.
Oh, absolutely.
So I came on your live stream the night before the November 4th elections, and
Mhm.
we gave our respective takes about what we thought was going to happen. All right, so now it's been over what, almost
2
10
weeks now.
days, and
Yeah,
you've
it's
had
almost
some
2 weeks
time.
now, right?
Yeah, you've had some time to
Yeah.
digest the results. What do you think, man? I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, what happened that night, and what do you think happened, and what do you think is going to happen coming out of it?
Well, I was actually talking to my mom, and the first thing I tell her is like, listen, as the Republican Party, and I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative,
Sure.
but it's the party, unfortunately, that aligns with us the most, right? So, like, and the libertarians and stuff like that. But the libertarians can be too anarchical for me. That's why I've never been able, to
Sure.
not that not that I disagree with a lot of stuff that they say. I just never been able to get along in that movement because of I just think it's too anarchical for me. But that's me. That's a personal thing.
Sure.
Know a lot of libertarians. I love them. Great people, and they're good to listen to and great conversations with them. But I was telling my mom, and I was explaining to her, I said, listen, She's like, we got shellacked. I was like, but did we really get shellacked? And she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, listen, we wanted things to happen to go the right way. We can acknowledge that as a party, we got problems and we need to fix them. We've been talking about this stuff for a long time anyway, right? Like doing the things. But, as much as I wanted Curtis Sliwa to win, because he was the only Republican, he's the only Republican that won his primary. I was not a Cuomo-sexual. I was not jumping on that train. There was no way I was going to tell any of my viewers who live in New York, because like you said, we had a lot of people who were running that had come on the show to vote for Cuomo for the simple fact that one, he didn't win his primary. Two, he's a Marxist, okay, and three, I think he's a scumbag. So he had all that stuff going on at the same time. It's funny because if you remember, we talked about it, I was like, when Curtis Sliwa pointed out that Cuomo was the architect and Mamdani is an apprentice, he was absolutely correct. A lot of stuff that's going on in the state of New York and in New York City is a direct result of some of the things that Cuomo signed into law. Okay, the cashless bail and all this other stuff. The rampant crime is out of control now and everything. But there's more to it than just Cuomo. All right. So I explained to her, I was like, New York, they decided they wanted to listen. You had a group in New York, the youth in particular, okay, who never usually come out on election day, believe it or not. All right. They come out, they don't come out in the numbers they did this time. They're getting driven into the earth right now. Okay. They're saddled with this. They're saddled, okay, with college debt because they got sold a bill of goods that if you could just go to college and you get your gender studies degree, you're going to walk out and walk right into a 6-figure job. That is not life. That is not reality. And then they find that out, okay, the hard way when they can't get a job anywhere after they got that gender studies degree. All right. They can't get a house. They can't even rent in some places. They can't get a car. They could barely eat. Right. And there's plenty of them that are trying to work. All right. But they're getting saddled with, like I said, debt. And, the economy, it's okay where I'm at. I have seen prices gone down, but that's not how it works everywhere. Right. In a state like New York, the taxes are still so high, it doesn't make a difference. You don't even feel if prices have gone down because it doesn't feel that way to you because you're still paying an exorbitant amount of taxes on things. Places like California, Illinois, okay, the Northeast in general, the taxes are ridiculous everywhere you go. So he put out a message, okay, that I can deliver on free. All they kept hearing was free, right? And this is how socialism has grabbed the youth for over a century now, okay? Almost 200 years when you think about it, because it was in a different framework before they called it socialism, all right? And this is how it works, right? They take the downtrodden, the people who feel like they have nothing, they promise them a bill of goods that are going to be the best on the planet. And in theory, socialism sounds great, but it never works out that way. It always leads to totalitarianism. Everywhere it has been tried, it has led to totalitarianism, okay? And these kids believed it. What happened a week afterwards? Okay, Kathy Hochul came out and was like, yeah, you guys aren't getting free buses. Yeah, you guys aren't getting government-owned grocery shops. Why? Because she's got an election and she can't run with it. She didn't even really want to endorse him. Okay, she did it kicking and screaming, and she endorsed him, but she endorsed him at the last minute. All right. So for me, like I said on my show, I was like, if you're a Republican in New York, you should be coming out for the Republican candidate that won. He probably in the end isn't gonna, like we talked about it. Like it's like in the end, he's probably gonna lose anyway, right? We know he probably doesn't stand a chance. If there's and again, the kids came out in force. Young women, young liberal women, 80% of them came out, okay, to vote in New York. But you know what's tragic though? Even with all those numbers, when you think about it, how close it actually was, really, they have 8 million registered voters in the city of New York. Only a little bit over 2 million came out and voted. Think about how sad that is.
It's 25% of the population, or the voting population. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. All right. 8 million voters in all 5 boroughs combined. All right. And only a little bit over 2 million people came out. Right. So you have been struggling now for years. Okay. Because it goes before Eric Adams, de Blasio, it was shit. Okay. When de Blasio came in, he sent it down a path. And the city council helped them, right? They kept electing these Marxists in the city, all right, because they're cool, right? The days of voting for people because they're cool, popularity, have been over for a long time. If you are not voting on policy And then when you vote somebody in on policy, you absolutely must hold them accountable. And that is a big problem we have in this nation. We do not hold our politicians accountable. Both sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter, because it happens on our side too. I mean, we do, because we on our shows, we call people to task all the time. We call balls and strikes, regardless of who we voted for. All right. But it just, again, downtrodden population in the city of New York, in particular the young, okay, the younger generations, they're feeling it, right? They don't feel like they're coming out of anything, and that's the reality. And it came back, and New York got it. New Jersey got it, right? We all thought I thought Citarelli was going to do way better than he did.
Oh, I agree
That
with you.
didn't happen. All right, that didn't happen. I was like, oh shit, I was wrong. I was
Not
like,
just
I was
well, we
definitely
were both wrong, but we didn't realize how
Yeah,
wrong we were going to be.
I
I
know. I
mean,
was like, wow, wow.
Mikey Sherrill smoked him. Absolutely smoked
Absolutely
Jack
decimated
Citarelli.
him. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Now let me ask you something else, because you're hitting on something that the past 3 or 4 days has been a big topic on social media, be it Twitter or live streams, no matter who it is. And I mean, and I think that, I'm going to put a theory out there, and you tell me if I'm wrong or I'm right or anywhere in between. We were discussing this on my live stream the other night, and it's this: there is a palpable, I will argue, burning frustration right now with the American people for a lot of different reasons. I mean, inflation, cost. I mean, but there's one of them that I think encapsulates it all. Okay. Person does everything that American society, and I use that term loosely, tells them they're supposed to do. They play by the rules, they obey the law, they go to college, they get a degree, they're out, they're young, they took on a bunch of college debt. Okay, we can argue the merits of whether that was right or wrong, but they did that in the name of obtaining the American dream. Now they've got these degrees, they're saddled with debt, you've got inflation that's high, and you're looking around, and an entry-level job that you might otherwise have a chance of getting, you can't get because the corporation you want to work for brought in a bunch of H-1B visa workers.
I knew you were headed here. Excellent.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, I'm teeing this one up for you, because I know I know
excellent.
you want to go off on this. I mean, why? I mean, I know the reasons, but I want to hear your take on this. Why is it that we are having such trouble in this country getting politicians to understand, guys, we got, and I'm sorry, Trump's comments the other night on that Laura Ingraham interview, I could just scream.
Me too. Me too.
I mean,
and she called him on it, and I was happy that she did. She called him on it. I was happy that she did. Again, we call balls and strikes, regardless of the fact that we voted for the man. When shit is wrong, shit is wrong.
But why is it that we cannot? I mean, what is it going to take? Is it going to take just throwing every last one of them out? I mean, is it going to take the destruction of one political party, to the detriment of the entire nation to get, a peaceful revolution of the way we do things in this country? I mean, this whole H-1B visa thing is probably, a lightning rod moment where everybody can kind of realize this is crap and something's got to be done.
We can
go ahead.
Regardless of the side that you're on, you can rally behind that, right? Because it's not just kids on our side that are feeling it, kids on their side. We saw, they felt it. They voted in a guy like Mamdani because they thought he was going to get free stuff, and now, and a day later he was asking for help and money. So like, he had to backtrack on things because he's not going to. It was he's, again, a bill of goods sold to them, right? Because they're hurting. Okay, these H-1B, this is something that absolutely just, it gets my blood boiling.
Go for it.
We have a lot of kids. A lot of these kids too that are hurting are actually qualified for these jobs, right?
Yeah.
So these companies, it used to be, the way it used to be, right, is that to use these things, we actually didn't use it. We used it for more like lower level type work. Okay, we didn't really use it all the time. Right. To those of you who know history, do a little bit of history on the history of these visas. Okay, it wasn't always used for like STEM and stuff like that, like what they're doing now. Okay, and because they have overdone it with STEM, it has artificially driven the dollar amount of what you're worth. Okay, these kids coming out, right, with the same education, just as smart, okay, can come into these jobs, but the companies, all right, that bring these people in, They're not paying the same that they would have to pay an American, right?
Yep.
I'm talking about by like tens of thousands of dollars too. All right, we're not
Oh, yeah.
talking about like just a couple of $100. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of what that position, whatever the position may be, okay, is worth, right? Because of the amount of work you have to do and the education that you have. So it's not that we need to keep bringing these in. We used to actually have a cap on this stuff. Okay, it was we would fill in as many jobs as we can with the American public, and then we would use it as a backfill, regardless of what it was, right? But again, it used to be used for farming and stuff like that. It wasn't used for like, engineering, medicine, even law and stuff. It wasn't used for that. Okay. It it morphed into that, right? Because again, the special interests, they're lobbying in Washington, DC, both sides of the aisle. Both sides of the aisle are lining their pockets, okay, with these special interest groups, regardless of the company, whether it be big farm, big ag. Okay, these are the people who benefit from these visas. Okay, big tech they benefit from these visas. You're old enough to remember, Brian, when kids were going to school to do IT stuff in the 1990s and early
Mhm.
2000s,
Yeah,
right? It was
absolutely.
cybersecurity. It was like, but they were really getting into like actually learning shit about it was called computer science. I don't know what they call it now, but it was called computer science back then. All right. But it was very in depth. You had to be good at math. There was a whole bunch of things you had to be good at, okay, in
Sure.
order to understand things. You just had to be a smart person in order to do this shit. We used to we I don't know where it went, like maybe when the dot-com bubble happened. You remember when that happened?
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember
I think that's about when it
2000.
changed with like IT and stuff like that. Where so much money they had lost so much money that they had to find a way, all right, they had to keep filling positions, so that it went the route of, let's use the government the best way we can, let's lobby the government. Hey, this will help American companies drive down cost of us doing business here in the United States, so we don't have to leave to go somewhere else. And our aristocracy, okay, our politicians who think they're nobles, they think they're a noble class, all right, they hook, line, and sinker, they fall for that shit. But we're at a point now where it has to stop. We got to go back to the old way we do things. It's not to say that we should give up on that program. We should use it the way we used to backfill. It was literally used to backfill jobs, okay?
Yeah.
Not to actually fill them all up, all right, and then leave the American kid out on who went and actually did what he was supposed to do, like you said, followed all the rules, got great grades in school, understands the what he needs to do in his entry level job, and he's qualified to probably do another 3 levels up, but he understands he has to get an entry level job first, okay,
Mhm.
and knows what it is he has to do, and he's got the mission, or she's got the mission. But it used to be, like I said, backfilled, and now we're not doing it anymore. That has to stop, like, immediately.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just the question of the current labor market. And when I say they're playing by the rules, I mean you got people that are like obeying the law. They're trying to live in
Mhm.
peace. They're trying to make their way. They are looking at what the actions of the government. They elect politicians, with and they're telling them by their vote, hey, take the system apart. Okay.
Yeah.
None of this playing around the edges stuff. USAID, take it down. Money to foreign
Yeah.
nations, stop that crap.
Yeah.
Getting involved in foreign wars, the hell with that idea.
100%.
You know,
Yeah,
and it's just
100%.
the
No,
the
you're
the, the
100% correct.
level, and that gets to another question I've got. The president, first 3 months of the administration, a lot of people argue, man, they were on fire.
Yeah, it
Absolutely
was
just
rapid fire.
tearing it up.
Yeah.
Doge, Elon's talking about, hey, let's audit this department, let's audit that department, and then somewhere along the way, it's like, well, maybe we need to, Iran, this whole Iran thing and the nuclear bomb, and I'm like, wait, guys, we don't
He
need to be getting
essentially
into this. Don't need to be getting
They
into
essentially
this.
took, but they essentially took out what we paid for anyway, right? Because like we actually paid for that. Um, I agree. I don't think we should have done. We should have just like whatever. But when you think about how much money we actually put into that program, right? Because not
Hmm.
only did Obama give them billions of dollars, but when Trump in his first term had the Iranians over a barrel, like he had the Russians, okay, they had nothing. He was breaking them. They were almost broken. We know what happened in that election. We all have our theories. We know exactly how that went down. What happened in the first like month? billions of dollars right back to the Iranians and set them right back on path. Our money, we paid for it. Tax
Yeah.
dollar money was paying
Yep.
for whatever programs they had got going on.
Mhm.
So my take from it was, although I agree with you, Brian, like, that wasn't what was important at the moment. All right. It was like, I guess we just blew up our own freaking reactors because we paid for all that shit anyway. With
Mhm.
that said, I agree. I'm with you on that. I was like, at the time, I was like, why are we paying? Why is this important? Like, there's just so much. You guys are doing such good right now. Okay, it's like, it's a tough listen. It is a tough thing for the president of the United States, right? Because regardless of the fact that he's the president of the United States and we want him to just completely focus on our country, he can't. Right?
Yeah.
Like he still is the leader of the free world. And if he doesn't pay attention to things, it's when we end up getting burned in the long run because we didn't pay attention to something. And then we get caught up in another foreign war because of some dumb shit that popped off.
Yeah.
But I agree that just like it still needs to be the focus, the primary focus has to be here. I'm not an isolationist. I don't believe we should isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. With that said, okay, there are just still so much stuff that needs to get fixed here in the United States. What is that? My daughter processes hub visas, charter spectrum. They pay 23-year-old Indian kids $80,000 a year. Those kids won't work, won't stay late, or come in early. Want 20-hour mental health days a month, etc. That is a fair assessment.
Yeah.
That is
Totally
fair.
true.
Okay, that is
Totally true.
absolutely fair. Okay, that's a fair assessment, right? Because again, these kids are being sold a bill of goods that just do it our way. Along the way, they're being indoctrinated into entitlement by their professors, and it starts from preschool all the way through college. They're being indoctrinated with Marxist ideology, and they believe that when they're done, they're entitled to these jobs. And you're correct. That is a fair assessment. Nobody can deny that is an issue too among the younger generations. Not all of them, but among the younger generations, that is an issue.
Yeah. Well, speaking of younger generations and issues that are cutting across party lines. Okay, let's talk Epstein for a second, because
Okay.
I know that this has been out in the news. I know you've got a take on it, or you're going to have a take on it.
Yeah.
So I have I mean, from a public relations standpoint, the way the president has handled Epstein
Mess.
ever since March,
Yes.
it's like Virginia Dufresne, or I believe I'm pronouncing her last name, said, never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. Ghislaine Maxwell, under oath, never saw Trump do anything inappropriate.
Not
And,
just them two, by the way. They have interviewed a lot of women in this
yeah,
whole Epstein thing, and they've all come up with the same thing, that yes, we have seen him in places and stuff like that, but he didn't have sex with us. He didn't, he may have been
yeah,
a little flirtatious, but he never done anything inappropriate.
yeah. But Trump turns around and tells his supporters, "Hey, you're a bunch of dummies for wanting to have this stuff released. It's a
Yeah.
hoax. It's everything else." Well, now finally, they swore in that new congresswoman from out in Arizona. She becomes the 218th vote for the discharge petition, and sometime in December, the House will vote on the question: do we release anything and everything in the Epstein files? Give me your take on it. How is Trump handling this? Is he handling it well? Is he handling it
They're not handling it well at
poorly?
all. So,
Yeah.
they're not handling it well at all. The way, and when the whole Bondi thing happened, and with the stupid
Oh
books,
God.
and brought these influencers, and it was just a disaster, and she was on Fox News every other 2 minutes talking. I was like, she just needs to shut up. Okay, she's making it worse. All right. I said then, and I will say it now. Not everybody who is on these lists that were actually not generated out of a people have to understand, this stuff was not generated out of like somebody's black book. Okay, this was generated from years and years of investigation, okay, through the courts. These lists were generated.
Yep.
All right. And not everybody on that list who has come across Epstein is some sort of pedophile. Okay, there are plenty of business contacts on there and everything. And I have maintained that what you need to do is do your due diligence, continue your investigation. Anybody who and you can without a doubt, okay, prove that by trying to prove that they're, if you listen, all right. So one of my degrees is in criminal justice. All right,
Sure.
I had a professor who was FBI. He was my professor for the Constitution, and also my professor for investigation. And one of the things he said, and he said it just like this, and I'll get back to the Epstein in a second. He said, I learned a hard lesson in my early years in the FBI when I was trying to prove people guilty. Okay, he goes, I got a case together, took it to an AG, and they looked at me and laughed. And like, if we take this to trial or to the court, this person's gonna get off. He said I forced my will on them, and they ended up getting off because I was trying to prove that they were guilty. Then I flipped the way of thinking and said, let me try to prove them innocent. And if I keep trying to prove that they're innocent, okay, and the red flag after another, they keep piling up, then I know I'm headed in the right direction. And it just blew my mind that he was like, I was like, but aren't you supposed to prove that they're that? He's like, no. He's like, if somebody's guilty, it's going to pop up. If you're doing an investigation correctly and you're trying to say, did this person do A, B, and C, okay, and you go through A, B, and C, and they didn't do it, but they ended up doing D, then that's what they might be guilty of, right? And so my logic is now in my older ages, let's find out the people who are on this list. And I know these lists have been around forever, so we know, okay, who probably has had no contact with Epstein other than business relationship, or they took a flight from New York to whatever, Los Angeles or something like that, and was never or didn't even take a flight. They just were a business contact. Let's get all those people out, and then everybody else who's part of the bullshit, who hurt children, who hurt women, they need to go. And I don't care what party they're aligned with. And if it's somebody that I like, let them burn too. I could care less. All right.
Yeah.
Because if they did some of the nefarious things that some of these women were talking about, okay, and it's been proven, just put it out there. And I don't care what side of the aisle on. I don't care, like I said, but the thing with Trump is it has been proven over and over that he had absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. You can't just release a bunch of names, all right? And that because you can absolutely destroy people for no reason that didn't have any nefarious dealings, okay, with Epstein. So those are the people that you need to exonerate from the jump, all right? And I know we know this. Says, you guys, it does not matter. Trump and his administration lost the plot entirely. They did lose the plot. I can't disagree with that.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm just saying from us, okay, as someone as me who's just uses logic, is I want people who need to be exonerated and get them out of the way already, because you keep hearing the excuse that, well, we can't release the list because there are some people who are actually innocent on that list and we don't want to, okay, take them off the list, right? Like, exonerate them. It's that simple. It is a simple. If you've already done your investigation and you have found through all the years of that this has been going on for almost 20 years, this investigation into Epstein. Okay, almost 20 years this has been going on. There's enough information that has been collected that people know who had nothing to do with Epstein and any of his like sick stuff that he did that were just maybe a business contact, briefly met him in a bar talking over business or whatever it was that they were talking about, and never did anything. So at this point, why don't we just exonerate those people so that the people who we think and we believe and we have enough information, we could just go after them, and put them where they belong. And again, party affiliation means nothing to me when it comes to this nasty stuff, especially with children, because we're called by God to protect children. All right. Now, it's not just a societal thing, it's biblical.
Well, and here's where I'm at with this. I agree with you. There are probably people in those Epstein documents who, business associates, they took an airplane ride, whatever. Okay. And I'm with you. They're innocent. More odds are 95% of the interactions they had with Epstein, or 99% of them, totally innocuous. Okay.
Yeah.
My problem with this is, okay, how are we going to get to find out who's innocent and who's not if we don't start laying the facts before the American people and say, okay, here's everything we've got. Let's find out the truth. I mean, and I agree with you. The innocent, let them be exonerated. Go with God, my child. You're free of this.
Yeah.
If you did something on the things that Epstein did, please let us introduce you to the front end of a wood chipper. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You deserve
Feet
it.
first. Feet
Yeah.
first. Just so you
Oh
can
no,
see, you
face
can watch
first.
yourself going
I
through.
wanted to see it coming. Forget that delayed.
Feet.
No, I want them face first going in. Forget that.
Well, the reason I say feet first, because then they can watch themselves getting chipped.
Oh, okay. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've heard all kind. Well, there's a lot of powerful people on the list. Okay,
So
maybe
what?
that's true.
So what?
So what?
So
So
what?
what? Oh,
Yeah.
now
So what?
now now we're all about protecting the reputations of people just because they're
Yeah.
rich and powerful.
Yeah.
Screw that.
Right. Yeah.
If you're
They
innocent
didn't
in
care
this
about
matter,
that.
you gotta be rich and powerful. Great,
Yeah.
great, good for you. But I mean, it's
No,
just, ugh.
I could care less. I have been at that point again
Yeah,
because I can think logically, right? Like, I think there's a lot of irrationale, all right, that has gone on, especially on our side, because people are passionate, but they get irrational about things. It's like just take a step back and breathe, and just understand, all right, that what I'm saying is that I agree that it needs to get out, all right, like
yeah,
immediately. That will never change, all right, but with that said, the argument that I keep hearing all the time is like you just said, but there are some people on there that are actually innocent. Exonerate them already, right? Just
yeah,
exonerate them. I'm pretty positive this stuff has been going on for, like I said, almost 20 years. They know who's innocent. Exonerate them, because then you take them out of the way and they're not in your way anymore. All right, and then
yeah,
no judge, because there have been judges that have stopped this, okay, as well, because of that, and they give that same reasoning. All right, so
mhm,
like people have to understand, it's not just that our Congress is not doing it. All right, judges have been stopping this. All right, and you should be upset about them too. And one of the reasons they keep using is that there are people that through the investigation that are actually innocent of any nefarious dealings with Epstein, and they're on this list that has been collected over almost 20 years of
yeah,
investigation.
yep,
Might there be, listen, is there probably he had some book of, I'm pretty sure he did, but I'm telling you that anything over 20 years, any list, people that are on a list is because of 20 years of investigation. Okay. And we just need to exonerate the people and if it only turns out it's only a handful of people that are getting exonerated, and the mass majority of people that ended up on this list are scumbags, then they all go into the wood chipper feet first. I could care less. All right. But
yeah,
let's get those people that we don't know personally, but that the investigators know. They know this. Right. And that's what frustrates me is like, you guys know this. You should be pushing to get these people out of the way. Right.
yep,
Every time they hit you with, well, some of these people are actually innocent based on the investigation. We can't release that. Get them out of the way. Right.
yeah,
There's a such thing as redaction, right? They redact everything with everything out the freaking wazoo anyway. Redact everybody, get them out of the way, redact the people that are innocent, and expose the people who aren't.
absolutely. Well, let me ask you in the minutes we've got remaining. Um, a lot of the comments the president's been making the past 3 or 4 days, Rush Limbaugh always made the statement: the only way that the bond would ever be broken between Trump and his supporters if Trump breaks the bond himself. In
True.
other words, he does something that in the minds of his supporters is just so egregious
Yeah.
that they're like, nope, we're done. Now, do I think it's necessarily one event? Not necessarily,
No, I
but
think it would be a bunch of things. And
yeah,
actually,
well,
just
and let me ask you, the comments he's been making, the actions he's been taking, are we reaching a cumulative point where the MAGA movement is looking at Trump going, you know what? We love you. We've been supporting you. And either you do reverse course toot sweet, or we're yike. We're looking for somebody
we,
else.
yeah, but he's done anyway, right? He can't run ever again, right? So
True.
we should be, and we've been talking about it on our show for even after the election, that we should be looking towards the future anyway. Like, we're only going to get 4 years out of him anyway. So
True.
there is a lot of good stuff that has been done in the almost 12 months. Okay. Cannot deny that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I brought up when the whole Epstein thing came up was that, have you guys not been paying attention to the amount of predators we have taken off the street?
Yeah.
Like, that's actually happening. The FBI, in the first time in 20 years since 9/11, they're actually doing their function.
Yep.
Okay, and they're literally they're breaking these pedophile cabal. We keep hearing stories. We hear it like loosely because the media is not going to put it out there. They're actually doing their job. So, I someone like me gets frustrated because I see that happening, right? And then I get hit with the Epstein, and I'm like, will you just exonerate the freaking good people off that list already so that we can hear who the monsters were? Because then you can put them together and be like, see, not only are we taking these people off the streets right now, but we can do both. It's not like they can't
Yeah.
do both. All right.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of good work, obviously the immigration issue. He's over 500,000 people gone in less than 11 months. That's not even counting the people who have self-deported, all right, and have left and stuff. So there are good things happening. The economy is a big issue that's still hurting people. And where I live, I'm in a good state, so I'm not hurting. But I know people are still hurting. Inflation is still what, at about 4%, almost 5, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's been stagnant there. The Fed hasn't helped him though with anything.
True.
Okay. The Fed hasn't helped at all. So like there are other factors. Now, I'm not saying that if you guys get pissed with him, you should just cut him off. If you get pissed with somebody, it's okay. Hold their feet to the fire. One of the things that this administration has done, and if you guys have paid attention, when you guys get loud enough on social media, they actually pay attention. Okay, they actually
Well,
do.
and it's my hope that everybody's getting loud enough that the White House realizes, oh crap, we need to like shape up fast, because
they pay attention.
Yeah.
They do. They actually do. And it doesn't seem like it, but every time in these last 11 months that we've gotten loud about something, they've taken action. Just keep the fire going. Don't stop. I'm never going to tell anybody to shut up. I will never tell anybody to shut up, because use your voice, use it loudly, but try to use it effectively. So I mean, that's where I'm at. But I agree. People are going to get tired, and it's okay. It is okay if people get tired of his bullshit, but we're only in year 1. Let's see what happens going into year 2. If it keeps going on, he might. One of the things about Trump is, don't pay attention all the time to what he's saying. Pay attention to what he exactly does, because he road runners all the time. All right. He'll say something one day and then go meep meep and take off and make us all look like the coyote when we got upset over something. I've seen him do it over and over. That's not saying we shouldn't pay attention and we shouldn't hold his feet to the fire, but just watch the actions in the end. And if there's no action, then get pissed off and say something about it.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here on the stream. And brother, you're welcome back here anytime you want to come on. All you got to do is reach out to me and go, hey, I got something burning on the brain. Can I come on your channel and talk about it? And be like, yep, consider it done.
Well, I one of the things we were doing, I got to talk to Scott, my co-host. We used to do, we haven't done one in a long time. The last Friday and I think we're going to start them next year. The last Friday of the month, we would put together a Patriot panel.
Okay.
And just get a couple of people together and talk issues and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to start doing that. And I definitely would love to have you on that. Obviously see what your schedule is like. I think you would be a fantastic part of that panel if I bring that back.
Thank you, sir. And like I say, you're welcome here anytime you want. One more time, where can people find you on social media? What can they do to help you out? What can they do to help you grow your channel?
I am on YouTube, Rumble. I'm on X. I am on Truth Social, BigRedOneGuy, every single one of those. If you guys want to help me on YouTube, just go and subscribe. Let's help me break that algorithm, right? Because that it's that 1,000 number, okay, that you have to get to, where I think the algorithm all of a sudden starts putting your stuff out and people start seeing you. But definitely come over to Rumble. If you're on Rumble already, please follow. I am part of the creative program there, and I am on Break the Machine podcast Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern. I do the Salty Dog Show on Rumble only, 6 p.m. Eastern. And every other Wednesday, I did one this past Wednesday. I do what's called Warrior Wednesday, and I talk about military stuff and everything like that, some veterans issues, and obviously we talk about politics and whatever the news of the day is. And actually, yesterday on Warrior Wednesday, we were talking about Thanksgiving, so you never know what we're going to talk about.
Well, brother, I'm dropping your links in the chat right now on both YouTube and Rumble. So, and by the way, in the description of this live stream, you can find the links to everything that Eric is associated with. Oh, by the way, what is this thing about you and coffee, my friend? What is this thing about you and coffee? What's going on with that?
If you guys see the hat, Scars and Stripes Coffee, fantastic brand. They have great coffee. They roast all their beans here in the United States. You can get them ground. If you like to ground up your own stuff, you can get them in beans. Chad Watts is the owner. They're all about, faith, family, and freedom. And they actually, I say that, but they're God. It's God, family, and country is their thing. And fantastic blend of coffee. Scars and Stripes Coffee. There's a link. Did you put my link tree in there?
Yep, I did.
All right. It's at the top of my link tree if you guys are looking for a good tasting coffee. It's fantastic. Thanks. I
Okay.
appreciate that plug. That's why I wear
No,
the hat everywhere.
I dropped the link for Scars and Stripes in YouTube and Rumble. So yeah, folks, check it out. Maybe maybe you're looking for a gift for a family member for Christmas. Maybe a pound of this coffee will help them, through the holidays. So you never quite know. You never know. Eric,
Absolutely.
hang on a second. We'll say some
Sure.
goodbyes backstage proper. Folks, I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight for Chatting on the Porch. As I mentioned last week, I am traveling for my birthday weekend, so we are not
happy birthday, man.
having front porch brunch this weekend. So, but yeah, tune in next week. We will be back with live streams and other things. You never quite know what we're going to do around here. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Love you very much. Have a great rest of your Thursday, great rest of the week, and a great weekend. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Love you guys very much. We'll catch you guys later. Good night.